Stephen Greer once again says that NHI extraterrestrials are not a threat, despite what people have been building up out in the most recent claims. There's been a lot of things out there, and whether it's politicians, commenters, whoever it might be, saying that these are not demons. This has been a continuation of a thing that has happened over and over again. So I want to read this post, show the video from Stephen Greer, and then kind of go through what he says and get a thought, my thoughts out there, and then to get your thoughts in the comments. But here's the actual post itself. Check this out. All right, here's the tweet from Stephen Greer, who says, with all the current disinformation out there regarding the UFO/ET subject, it is important to reemphasize a few things. Number one, ETs are not demons. ETs are biological beings from other planets. Two, we do have man-made UFOs. Lockheed, Skunk Works, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman have all been reverse engineering ET craft since the mid-1900s. Three, ETs are not a threat to humanity. They have been patiently not attacking us, even though they have superior technology and we have been attacked.
You know, when I'm doing my out of the theater reactions, I have a pretty solid set of like personal opinions that I have as soon as I see the movie and that I form after I see it. However, I do like to listen to what other people are thinking, even if they have a completely different view of mine. And I think about the same thing when it comes to news. Now, I know that a lot of you people are looking for a new news outlet. I know that you are. And if you're looking for a source that keeps facts fair and it keeps it balanced, you got to check out Straight Arrow News, because they are all about cutting through the noise, and Americans have actually rated their reporting as right down the middle. If you're watching this channel, that's what we try to do, right down the middle. So I use SAN to research a lot of the topics that I talk about on Down to Earth. I do a lot of the research of stuff that's going on in the news in general, so I'm well read about it. Their app helps me gather insights and different perspectives. So check out Straight Arrow News for yourself. You go to san.com/Harloff. Now, subscribing through my link, it supports both me and an amazing organization. So check it out. Link is in the description.
All right, this is the kind of stuff that this is what I was talking about. I did an earlier video today that it's like, it's just human beings in general, I think, is the problem. It really is human beings in general, because no matter what it is, whether it's as something as, when it comes to politics, baseball, football, movies, food that we like, we have to make it a battle of, or especially when it comes to religion and other things, it becomes this thing. And it's no different with UFOs, right? Now, you've got, it depends on what, this is the whole point. You're either on a side, because in this video, you know, he shows Lou Elizondo, he shows Chris Mellon, and he uses them as, I guess, the images when he's talking about people who are purposely doing disinformation. Now, when you're going to be on a side, you're either going to say inside of these comments one of two things. Some of you, I don't believe any of them. I think they're all idiots. But mostly, you're either going to go, I tend to believe more of the stuff that Lou Elizondo says than Steve Greer says. And I tend to put more stock into when Chris Mellon talks than when Steve Greer talks. Or I believe more. I think Stephen Greer has been honest about this stuff since the beginning. And I think that it's the psyops like Lou Elizondo and other people that might be the ones who are creating disinformation. And it creates this kind of rift, right? And maybe that's the intent in general. But you start to dive into it and you start to ask yourself the question of, all right, let's look into the claims of what he says in general. And the first, because he says inside of this thing that, because I've always said it makes the most sense to me, in my thoughts, of the interdimensional sides of things and the way with quantum physics. And I'm not going to pretend I even know a percentage of how quantum physics really, really works. I wish I did. It's one of the things I really wish that my brain worked that way, that I could understand it a lot more, because it's fascinating to me. But that to me is always the one that I say, okay, well, with the way time, space, we don't really know how time and space works. It makes more sense to me that that would be a thing outside of light year technology working from other planets, but that's not what he says. He says that they want you to believe that type of stuff, that it is other planets and it is these other things. And he's been so detailed on things and information that he knows. And a lot of Stephen Greer, a lot of people think, there's some people who swear by every word he says. There's other people who think that he's just an opportunist and is just out there to sell books and he's more about the celebrity side of it. I'm not taking a stance on either one of these things. I don't know what to make of anybody. I always say, I don't know. I listen to things that are out there and I try to say, okay, that could be real. That could be fake. That could be real. That could be fake. I don't know. I never really bought into the idea of demons and things of that nature. Now, the idea that they could be perceived as that by someone, by whatever that, not understanding it and thinking that that's what that could be and that it was created that particular way from religious thought or whatever it might be, sure. But do I believe that whatever is out there are demonic forces? I don't. But it's not to say that you shouldn't. There's a lot of people that people inside of Congress that believe that particular thing. There is just a lot of information coming out right now about this stuff that seems to be kind of a setup of, we want you to believe this, we want you to believe that, we want you to believe this, we want you to believe that. The only thing that I'll say inside of that video, he says, well, they want you to believe that we don't have man-made craft. We don't have these things. We haven't been working on it. We have. I feel like that's been said even under oath that we've had those programs and we have recovered stuff by the people who he's saying have said the opposite. And maybe I'm just reading that the wrong way. I don't know. But the reason I'm just talking about this in general is that I think that there's just so much lead up right now I did that story this morning about the Chinese general. I was talking about how he believes that there's UFO fleets that were in over the weekend, right? Like, how does that relate to anything? How does that relate to the knowledge that Greer knows, Elizondo knows, Carl Nell knows, Hal Puthoff knows? Like, and then you get it just. I guess the problem with when you're covering this every day and doing one or two videos a day is that you really do hear from so many different stories and so many different things. Like, for example, Ross Coldhart says, okay, beginning of 2025, all hell's going to break loose, introduces Jake Barber, says we're going to have footage that kind of rocks it. It's the first time you're actually going to see a UFO. The introducing of Jake Barber, here comes Jake Barber, here comes this UFO that you go, well, that could be anything. Who knows what that is? I don't know what that is. It looks like something, but it's not really clear cut. And then Jake Barber comes out there and he starts talking. He gets really detailed. They released the whole entire footage with everything that he's got. And he starts talking, and then Skywatcher has him on there, and he starts talking about things. And then as a follow-up by other people who are like Tim Burchett, who has been an advocate and says this guy might be a plant. And then they ask Luna about him, and he goes, "No, we haven't talked to him." And then you just start head scratching. It's like, well, wait, why aren't they talking to each other? Why? It's just so scattered, and it's like any time. And this is like from anything as simple as putting together when you're in high school and you're putting together a task. If you work by yourself and you're working with a select few inside of a group project, and you're not getting along with the other people inside of that, it doesn't really work out. And that's what it seems like happens. It's teamwork every time, right? And it seems, and maybe that's the point of it, is like, let's get different people against each other. You got the naysayers, the people that are just going to tweet out and tell you why everything is either a hot air balloon or gas and have been slighted in the past, or they're going after one particular guy or girl, and they're just, it's like, it's very similar to, like, I do stuff in the movie review space. You know who's going to hate things before they're even out. You know who's going to be loving stuff before it's even out. So you can't take those people serious because you can't get a real opinion on it. It's the same thing like, okay, here comes the naysayer who's just going to debunk everything. What's he going to say? Oh, he hates so-and-so, and he hates this person. Oh, wait, that person, they're putting out they're saying that everything that Gary Nolan is saying is legit, so listen to that. And I'm just using Gary Nolan as an example. I happen to think very highly of Gary Nolan, but it's just my point that I don't know who to trust. I never know who to trust in any of these things. But at least he's talking, right? At least he's saying some of these things. The question is, because here's the problem. Stephen Greer said that a bunch of information and big disclosure was coming in January. It's almost March. It's mid-February. So I don't take anybody serious anymore when they say, oh, this month, this is the big one. This year, it's the big one. 2026, that's what's coming. And then it's like, we thought 2026, but it's 2027. Actually, it's going to be 2086. They moved it back. We got a phone call from the NHI. They changed it because we messed everything up. It was going to be, but now your grandkids are going to see it. You're not going to see it. You're going to die. Sorry. So I don't know. I know what I believe. I know that I think that this is important to be talked about a lot, all of the time, because there's just so many people who are not talking about it. However, I will say this. It does seem and I've been, both Fox, CNN have been covering it a little bit more than, not extensively, like I believe that they should, but more. Since the task force was announced, I saw Burchett was on CNN, Luna was on CNN talking about stuff. Fox was talking about it. A bunch of different places were talking about it. So slowly but surely. And I wonder if more of these things and more of the question will we ever get a clear-cut answer of, because we've talked about on this channel, the Elizondo versus Greer thing. That's been going on forever. I don't know where to stand on any of it. I really don't. And I almost kind of lean on you guys on this one. Where do you stand on this? Do you listen to any of these people? Do you say, no, you know what? It seems to me on the research that I've done of Stephen Greer, I think that that's the guy I want to be listening to and not Elizondo. Or is it the other way? Elizondo, Mellon, those guys, they're speaking a little bit more into stuff that I think that can come out down the line with actual information. I believe those are the ones that are telling the truth. Or do you think it's a happy medium between the two of them? I don't know. I really don't know. But it's something I wanted to talk about with you guys. So put your thoughts in there. Let me know. Thanks for joining me here on the show today. We'll be back tomorrow with some more stuff. I appreciate you. Bye-bye.